The federal government is set to shut down in 4 days. So should you panic? The answer, I think, is no, and I'm going to explain why. All right. So let's go back to basics first. How does the government stay open and funded? Congress. So Congress approves the money that keeps the government running, lights on, people working, et cetera, et cetera. And that's true even with Donald Trump as president. Because even though Trump has taken a bunch of steps to take more power into the executive branch and away from the legislative branch, it is still true that the way that the federal government gets its money is by Congress allocating it, which means that every few years, it used to be, Congress would pass a bill that would say, we're going to fund the government for the next 2 years. These are the levels that we're going to spend. Generally speaking, it was okay, generally bipartisan, and we moved on and we never thought about it. Well, things have changed in the last decade significantly. So now what winds up happening is we approve very short-term funding measures. We basically kick the can down the road and let somebody else deal with it in the near term. So they say, okay, we'll keep the government open for 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, and we're going to keep funding levels about the same. So no one can really object to it. And we're going to, in 9 months, we're really going to address this problem. And conservatives, Republicans mostly, get up in arms and they say, look, we are spending ourselves into a massive crisis. We have a debt and deficit problem. We have a $36 trillion national debt. We can't just keep doing this. We have to start cutting spending, government spending, as opposed to growing government spending or keeping it at the same level. It's where, by the way, things like the Department of Government Efficiency gets its attention and intensity. There are a lot of people in the country, a lot on the Republican side, who say we need to start cutting government, not continuing spending on government. Okay, this is all part of the conversation that leads us to the government runs out of money on Friday. If there is not a bill passed by Congress, the House and the Senate, before then, the government will shut down. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't really mean what you think it means, and this is at least part of my explanation on why you shouldn't panic. Social Security payments still go out. Medicare payments, Medicaid, the Pentagon and the Defense Department, they still keep working. So it's sort of a kind of sort of shutdown as opposed to a full government shutdown. And because of that, I think there is less reason to panic, even if the government shuts down for a little while. The last time we had a government shutdown was 2018 into early 2019. It was shut down for 35 days. This is Donald Trump's last presidency, and we survived as a country. Okay, but Donald Trump knows that he controls the White House, Republicans control the Senate, and Republicans control the House. So that if there is a extended government shutdown where it looks like real things are starting to happen, people aren't getting Social Security or Medicare, like there are real consequences, the Republican Party will get blamed for it, which is why Donald Trump is urging Republicans to stay united and pass a funding bill. So let's explain. This is a little nerdy, but I want to explain it because it is important. Now, before I get into the weeds, let me say this. I am a guy who is looking for you to subscribe to my channel, and here's my very quick pitch. I cover politics. I talk and write about politics. I've been doing it for a very long time at mostly mainstream media news organizations. But now I'm an independent journalist calling balls and strikes no matter what uniform the batter at the plate is wearing. And that's really important, and we need more of it, and I need your support, so become a subscriber today. Okay, now back to the nitty-gritty, slightly nerdy, but very important details. So the House, which is very narrowly controlled by Republicans, is trying to pass a bill that will keep the government open through September. Remember what I said. We don't do long-term funding bills anymore. We only do short-term ones. So through September, 6-ish months. How they are going to do that is going to be with only Republican votes. Democrats have said they will not vote for this. They think it is not the kind of bill they would support, which means politically that Republicans need to pass it with just the Republican majority. The Republican majority in the House, though, is tiny, right? Mike Johnson, the speaker, can only afford to lose two Republicans on this vote. And one of them, from Kentucky, Tom Massey, has already said he's not going to vote for this spending bill to keep the government open. So now Mike Johnson can lose one of them. So the first and most important thing to look at is, can the House pass a spending bill that keeps the government open? Can they do that with just Republicans? They can afford one more defection. If they can do that, and that's going to be tough, okay, because there's like 4 or 5 people on the Republican side who said they're not sure if they're going to vote for it. If they can do that, here is what Republicans will do. This is a total political gambit. They will immediately adjourn the House. They will go back to their respective districts, and they will say to the Senate, here you go. Now, why are they doing that? Because they don't want any changes to what they pass, because they know any change that would be made to that bill would make it even harder to pass that bill, right? If they are able to pass a spending bill, it's only going to be by a single vote. So the question is, you can't have it go back and forth and back and forth. They will not have the votes for it. So they leave town and they say, this is your problem, Senate. Either you take the bill we passed and keep the government open, or you don't and the government closes. Okay. And that really puts, and this is, again, I said, it's a little in the weeds, but it's important. That really puts the pressure on Senate Democrats, and here's why. So unlike the House, which is just a simple majority, if one more vote for it than against it, it passes. In the Senate, they have a rule called unlimited debate. Basically, you could debate about a bill forever, which means it would never pass. You would, or fail. You would never have a vote. You could debate about it forever. The only way to end debate is for 60 senators to agree, we're going to end debate, we're going to set a final rule, like, 10 hours each, that each party can speak, and then we are going to have a vote. It's called invoking cloture. It's not super important, but it basically means you need 60 votes to end debate to get to a final vote where a simple majority is needed. Well, this spending bill is subject to that as well, but there are only 53 Senate Republicans, which means, because of math, that seven Democrats would need to cross the aisle and support the idea of ending debate on this bill, bringing it to a final vote in order for that to happen. Are there 7 Democrats who are willing to do that? Now, if it got to a final vote, again, you would only need a simple majority in the Senate, and it would get a simple majority. There are 53 Republicans, they'll all vote for it, and the government will stay open. But if Democrats don't, if there aren't 7 Democrats who are willing to say, yes, I will vote to end debate, even though I won't vote for this spending bill, I will vote to end debate, which means basically the same thing, that we're going to keep the government open. If there aren't, man, oh man, there is going to be a government shutdown. I said don't panic at the top of this video, or I don't think you should panic, and I still don't, because I think that neither side wants a government shutdown. And my strong sense is and the biggest hurdle here is if House Republicans can get their spending bill through, and that's going to go first. If they can get that through, I think there'll be 7 Democrats who will vote to end debate, even though they won't vote for the final bill, and that will be enough. Republicans will pass with a simple majority in the Senate, and the government will stay open, funded at basically its current levels. But why? And the reason why I say that is because I just don't think Democrats want that fight right now. I don't think they want any part of the blame of being willing, because the House will say, we passed a bill. The Senate Democrats refused to get on board. I don't think Senate Democrats want that, even though probably the blame would fall more on Republicans because they do control the White House, the House, and the Senate. I think government shutdowns are a very risky political proposition. You never kind of know how they're going to go, how the public is going to perceive it. And I don't think it's worth the risk, to be totally honest, to Democrats. They're not in a good place right now. I think they want to keep the focus on Donald Trump and his policies as opposed to a fight over a government shutdown. So my guess is I think there's a better than 50% chance the government stays open, which does mean there's probably a 30-ish% chance the government closes at least for a day or two. So I think we're not paying enough attention to this issue. Even if I think you should not panic right now, I do think you need to keep an eye on it. Watch that House vote. And then if it gets through the House, watch what Senate Democrats do. All right, that's it for me. Thanks for going in the weeds with me a little. This stuff is important. And I hope I'm making it a little bit easier to understand as we go. You can do 4 things for me. As I said earlier, you can subscribe to my channel. If you've made it this far through the video, you will like the kind of stuff I'm doing. I hope you subscribe. You can literally just thumbs up this video. I'd appreciate it. It helps with the algorithm. Same thing with commenting on this video. Weigh in. That helps the algorithm spit me out to more people, get me exposed to more people, get this channel working, bigger subscribers. I can do more with it. That would help me. And the last thing you can do is word of mouth. Tell people you know who you think might like this about what I'm doing here. Video every single day, a live stream on Fridays. I'm going to supplement that with some other stuff for people who decide to subscribe and pay. I'm going to give you some incentives there. Stay tuned. More to come on that. So please support me. Independent journalism can only work with your support. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, comment, and tell your friends. Take care.